this table with the different categories and your learners' characteristics based from your experience last school year. What are their entry behaviors? What are their prior knowledge? What was their general group characteristics? I'll give you an example. Okay, for example, this one I developed this earlier for you guys. No, for example, what are your entry behaviors? Learners are ranging from none to a lot, with most learners in the a little and some categories. Attitudes. Most students recognize the importance of lesson plans. Feelings range from enthusiasm to frustration. Experience and so on. Attitude towards the course, from very positive to somewhat negative, while some learners have mixed feelings. Group characteristics, most are between 19 and about 23 years of age, European descent, sophomore level, middle class, and so on. Okay, so I'll give you, let's say, 10 minutes to do this because I have another activity for you, which we will do or all good. I think all good. There's no question yet in the Q&A box. 10 minutes and just write questions in the Q&A. Questions if you have.
Recording in progress.
sharing or presentation of our output. And then participants, I would like to share permission allow you to present your PowerPoint or any file document that you would like to share. Again, we have 2 more minutes.
Recording in progress.
Okay, I think the 10 minutes has elapsed. Okay, now we need to identify what should be our IM strategies to address these characteristics. What do you mean by IM strategy? These are the different features, characteristic, style, format, design, anything about your IM so that we can address the different characteristics of your learners. Now, I want you to add another column in your table and label it as IM strategy. So we begin with category. Characteristics, you have already filled this out earlier. Now, what I want you to do is identify different features, characteristics, style, design, formatting of your IM such that we have identified. This is very important so that later, when we already design our learning episodes, we have already a good idea and we have already imagined what features and characteristics should our IM have so that it would really fit in the context of our learners. Sige, I'll give you 10 more minutes of questions.
Okay. Yeah, I think enough time has been given. Sir, maybe we can already start asking for the volunteers who will share their
All right.
outputs.
While we are waiting for some of our participants that would be sharing with us this afternoon, I guess, Dr. Arlene Sidolotalias is now ready to share the output that she just made earlier. Ma'am Arlene Dolotalias, go ahead po.
Hello, Nan. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Sir, Sir, and Dr. Angel, good afternoon, Nan, and to all the participants. Wala ko naka-on cam. Here, I'll just set my set the learners context matrix, no content matrix, no, about my learners through the 5 E's. Ang ako lang gamiton for my IM. And then we have here the sali siya mga concepts here. One is the entry behavior, prior knowledge, attitudes, motivation, learning preferences, attitudes towards the course, and go first my learners or have this group the age bracket of my students. So I need to have the learners. And then second is the entry behavior. So I should know also my behaviors of my learners about the lessons that I'm going to give to my learners. And then next to that, the prior knowledge. So entry requirement na for me, I just have first the group characteristics and then the entry behavior, and then next will be the prior knowledge about this one. So I will do some activities, knowing their capability. For example, my topic about lesson planning, for example, sir, because I am connected with the College of Education and Social Sciences. So I thought Prof Ed. So here in the prior knowledge, no, so they will be here in the under sa explore niche, sir. I'll just give them some activity and know their knowledge about how to write, for example, intellectual discussion with my students, and then they will have to share about it, and so that I can get an entry or not their prior knowledge about the lesson I'm going to have. And then for their attitudes, of course, I have to part of my lesson plan. Part of my lesson plan will be the affective domain, how they the under how they value lesson plan. For example, for a teacher, which this will be useful in teaching more on ako upward. So I need to have this under explore ang prior knowledge, and then attitudes, and then so the attitudes will be under engage. So nanay will something like contract, whatever, and we talk about or to become a teacher in another lugar, sir. And then under sa motivation,
to the strategy. Like for example, what are their entry behaviors? What are their prior knowledge? Do you believe that your learner, the students that enter your course in Prof Ed have already, for let's say, teaching profession as your subject? What are their prior knowledge that you think would be essential for the course? So that,
yes, sir.
yeah, sige ma'am, let's try.
Yes, sir. First, of course, naman tayo mga bases, sir, no, mga data about it, especially for Prof Ed, for example, that they will start, of course, sir, psychological aspect of learning, atong isa-isa like kanang kangkuan, example kanang mga nawa na blanco na ko, sir. Psychological
Yeah,
sa
for example, you'd say that the students that enter your course is psychosexual theory,
Ah,
sociocultural analysis. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Because you've said
yeah,
that
yeah.
they had enrolled in ed psych. Yeah,
Siya sa child and adolescent siya and under sa Prof Ed muna to nga it seems na they have about psychological foundation and under the Prof Ed how they love teaching. So now I'm going to give them some of the characteristics. Example, characteristics characteristics at the age of like this, siguro na time sa mga anas na sir 18, 19 years old, and then have already finished the child and adolescent course na subject, and then they will have this na dayon
Recording in progress.
importante nga makuha nila ang points gyud na so knowing their prior knowledge about the lesson, for example now about the characteristics of an effective teacher, for example part sa early part of the Prof Ed I can early part of that subject then, and then after that one how they take positively on the course usay mga activities na ko, so maybe na mag-teacher whatever activities in the classroom like that, so para makita nila nga I'll show them a video, for example, and then they will react and give opinion about it before discussing the topic. So, inana sir ba, ang ako under sa prior knowledge, and then next will be the attitudes, how they accept positively about that one, that concept, so that I can thoroughly, but I have to give kind of an in-depth love of the profession. Right na, although it's early part pa naman ng kanilang 4-year course, say kasi under pa man sa first year or second year ning nga subject then teaching prof no mga second year pa man sila sa ani sir nga part or first year, so di pa kay nila ma-love gyud ang teaching profession at this point of time unless kung mo na gina ilang ambisyon. Now here, so I need to have the kana mga siguro mga mga discussions lang in the class by showing any situations like that, mga traditional teachers and the new teachers like that no, anak sa contemporary teachers, traditional teachers, usa ang mga differences or whatever then, and they will decide on what teaching styles that they are going to use when they will be in the field. But here, still an early stage that they will have it. And then for the attitudes, ang attitudes nila, how they accept later, no, sa thorough discussion with their murag ilang gipang share nga mga knowledge about it, siguro nga time then we can inject na gyud kung unsay angay for our learners. So murag na-follow lang gyapon ko atong 5 E's sir ba nga agi follow nato, although akong gigamit, pero we can naman change it, we can use eclectic for this matter, but for me I would rather use this one as this one para at least makita nato ang gyud unsa gyud ang level nila. Now here under the motivation, so dito na ko i-get no pahaon no sa ilahang discussions namo, then sharing whatever kay wala may sayop nga answer nga ilang i-share sa ato unless i-share sa nila sa ato, but we have to give them some situations na then they will decide later on, and then later on we have the lesson naman pod, and then there makakuan din sila unsa gyud ang dapat for a teacher nga dapat niyang buhaton para mahimo siyang effective teacher, for example. And then mga learning preferences nila kung sa sila here under sa pag-explain na nila, makita na nila kung unsa gyud ang dapat. So for me, dili kaayo ang teacher may serve as facilitator, so more on activities siya. For me, more on activities para at least ang learner will be lasting and lifetime ang ilang learning when they will be allowed to discuss inside the classroom like that. So the positive and negative aspect like that. Even we discuss even the salary of a teacher para at least makita lang how the bulk of the responsibility later on when they will be in the field, para at least they will be ready. then of course they have also still time then to change or have another change the shift to other course if ever. But here ipakita gyud nato how important no usa ka importante ang teacher sa iyang role as to sa iyang mga estudyante. Now here's under the attitude towards the course, so siguro because of a thorough discussion with your learners, and then they will be the one to have a sharing the class, and then we can just make use of the experiential learning approach. We can use it here kung sa ilang mga observations when they were in their high school, elementary, like that siguro sir for me, para at least na ako'y makita as basis then in teaching, para re-effective kaayo ang atong learning. And at the same time, we are also teaching them how to be confident in discussing matters like that, even in their Provincian speaking, and makuha po makuan gyapon nato sila ma-train aside from knowing all of these behaviors tanan nato. At the same time we also teaching them how to be have that confidence no, to become an effective teacher. Thank you sir, thank you for that. It's only my opinion sir.
Thank you, Ma'am Arlene. I think the very, very important point I got from your sharing is, for example, if the students have low level of motivation in the course, what your style is you tell them the salary of the teacher. So that's the strategy that you plan to use. Did I get it right, ma'am?
Yes sir.
Okay. Sige. Yes, sige. Maybe we can call another sharer, sir.
Right, sir. Thank you very much for processing the sharing of Mom Arlene Sidolotalias. And at this point, we would now be entertaining the question or the sharing rather of Mr. Erwin Babol. Hello, sir. Are you still there?
Sige. Yes, sir. Sir Erwin. We begin first with the characteristics before we go to the strategy so that we can relate really. Sige po, Sir Erwin.
For a while, Sir Erwin, I'll just assign you as panelists so that you could be able to share if you have with you your presentation. All right, it's already done, Sir Erwin. Maybe, sir, while waiting for Sir Erwin to respond, can we have first Sir Wenceslao Coronado?
Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
This is actually my idea. Category entry behaviors. This is based from my experience. There is a transition of behavior from high school students. So I describe it childish. Then when we are now in college, it's a different thing. So some of them have lack of sense of responsibility when it comes to requirements. My strategy is remind them that high school and college environment are different things. The college environment that they have will tell their future and their destiny. The prior knowledge, some of my students, based from my experience, have poor, fair knowledge in mathematics. So I encourage them, not yet too late. There is still a room for improvement. Attitudes, eager to learn mathematics despite their weak or poor background of the topics. Despite their poor and weak background, everything can still be learned. You can encourage them. So I encourage them by telling a story of those well-known mathematicians, physicists, about their weaknesses. So to give some story, the story of Albert Einstein. And we know that Albert Einstein was a late bloomer. Motivation, motivated to learn and finish the degree course. Remind them to finish the degree on time by focusing their effort. learning preference. Some of my students, most of my students are really visual learners. So they are asking for more examples for each topic to be presented. So what I did, aside from more topics presented, it would be better to show for them some caricatures or some videos as example. That is my IM strategies. Attitude towards scores, they enjoyed learning some arithmetic, but when it comes to abstraction, like abstract algebra, linear algebra, they find it difficult to relate. So usually what I did, my strategy is present them the transition of the concept from arithmetic to abstraction by more concrete examples. Age characteristic, age group 20 to 23, some came from coastal barangays and some from remote areas. Generally, low-income family, not all can afford to buy laptop, even uh, internet access. Whether you came from coastal areas, we have all the equal opportunity to learn in college. Thank you, and that's all for my presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Conrado, no, for a well done learner analysis matrix. No? Sige, a very, very important points I got from your presentation. Like, you mentioned earlier that in terms of prior knowledge, that the learners have poor to fair knowledge. Probably my suggestion, as an IM strategy, you have I suggest you will have to develop a chapter zero probably. The chapter zero will cover those skills that were supposed to be covered in high school, but you think they have poor knowledge in those, so that you can cover them again in college, and this will serve as a bridge to help them master concepts in college. I don't know if you agree.
Yes.
Next, sir, is you also said earlier that in terms of attitude, uh, your strategy is to tell a story. So I think that would be a good feature in your IM. Probably in the beginning, in every beginning of a chapter, there could be a story or probably a story that you can share, probably one or two paragraph of a story that will help them develop certain positive motivation or positive attitude towards the course, diba? I think that would be nice. You also said that most of your learners are visual, so probably in developing your IM, you can integrate uh, accompanying video materials. Like for example, in this topic, students can access a certain link where there will be a video lesson or a video material that they can access. Or as you've said earlier, I think the caricatures would do just fine, diba? It's like probably a comic strip, or learners now are fond of memes. I don't know if you're familiar with memes, sir. Probably you can put memes there in mathematics, no, and that would help them learn concepts more. And yeah, lastly, I think you mentioned that most of your learners come from coastal barangays and low income families. Probably for coastal barangays, I think the examples, for example, in doing problem solving, the problem or the tasks that you will give to your students would be something they could relate. For example, a fisher folk was able to catch this amount or this much of this much of kilos of fish. How much would it cost? Mga nga na bitaw, sir, so that the examples could be relatable to them. And yeah, I think you mentioned that they have no internet connection, so this would mean that the IM you will develop should be paper based. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Probably we can have one more.
All right, maybe we can have, thank you, sir, with Ceslao. I guess we can have participants from the Department of Education. Earlier, when we tried to reconnect them with us, I don't know what's happening. They could not be They could not actually open their mic. That's why they were not able to share. I don't know if I'm going to try again. Justin, for a while.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Someone is trying
Can
to
you
speak.
hear me, sir?
Who is this,
Yes,
please?
sir. I am Justin Pigalinato from CTS National High School, Department of Education.
Yes. Go ahead,
I
Ma'am
would like to,
Justin.
okay, so please bear with me. We are on vacation, so I am babysitting. Um, maybe maybe later you will hear her, her voice. I would like to focus on the basic education curriculum students. So these are in their context of the characteristics of learners. So as what I have observed, their entry behaviors
Recording in progress.
siguro for my strategy is that for them comprehension, I start with unlocking skills or their topics which are skills. I kind of frustrated, so I set um um uh, idea that whenever I would start the school year, I would look at my students as
Recording in progress.
what I do usually is that I come up with a module where it involves the basic skills that are necessary, and then I introduce it to them, and then we reviewed. Usually it will take me maybe 1 week, 1 to 2 weeks to really rediscuss all of this. Not introduce, so why in the first 2 weeks teach them on the basic skills in math like integers, algebraic expressions. These are actually dapat expected that they already learned in their previous years. So however, I would discuss it again for 2 weeks, and then we can proceed now to our next lesson. And then with regards to their attitude, um, I have evaluation or feedbacking from the students. They would really say nga, ma'am, kanang lisod jud kay ko sa math, and kanang I understand them because really let's face it, math is a difficult subject, no. Especially it's really like a domino effect, no, kay once kanang dili siya pag-introduce sila then lisod na kaayo pag remove sa kanang idea that math is a difficult subject. Using activity that are engaging to them. So siguro their motivation is just to pass the subject. No, mom, you just want to receive that kind of grade. I am is that give them rewards. No, along the discussion, I give them rewards. Kanang gagmay lang ang mga rewards. Actually, lipay na kayo sila ana. And then for the learning preferences, they want more examples. Mom, we want more examples. During the pandemic, no, we have the modular. They really want to have more examples, and siguro give more examples, and then show interactive videos. So the problem is teachers, not all teachers are really equipped into really remarkable videos. So we really are trying hard to make our videos that interactive, very colorful, and everything. So we are really trying our best. And then attitude towards the subject. So it's a mixed feeling. Some likes math, some don't like it. It's really siguro it's for me there is also a teacher factor in teaching mathematics. So if your students kanang have an impression at you that they could just ask questions scared, they would really like the subject, no, from my observation. And then for the group characteristic, my students are below 16 years old, coming from low budget income na family. Siguro I have an understanding that there's a difference between science curriculum students and based on their family can siguro that we try to make our lesson contextualize and localize ato ang subject. So that would be
Still, no, National Highway. So medyo sakyan na that is being constructed. But I hope you can hear me loud and clear, sir. Sir, okay pa?
Recording in progress.
Problem solving or the better to people talking about the problem, so it will be more meaningful to them. Second is in terms of prior knowledge, I think mo gining challenge sa math, no? So my suggestion still is do a chapter 0 of what you think are the most essential skills, which is a prerequisite. You can review them in the beginning of the school year. Attitude, yeah, you're right, no, hands rewards will be good, developing materials, gamified self-learning kits. So probably you can have a good idea of when they finish a certain chapter, they earn a badge and then so on. That would be very nice. No? Learning preference. Yeah, more examples and interactive videos embedded in the IM. No, maybe you can put links and so on. And yeah, you said that they are around 16 years old. So just a reminder lang, when you lay out it, kasi commonly observed from DepEd teachers, they overly design. I don't know if you agree with me, Ma'am Justin. Do you agree with me, Ma'am Justin? Like, for example,
Yes, sir.
in your beautiful to see, the output is beautiful to see, but most often these designs are not actually relevant to the output, Justin.
For me, sir, I'm not really that, creative
Okay.
in putting some flowers and colors. I really want black and white only, to be honest.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what
Recording in progress.
and sometimes
For our
the
RPMS.
yeah, color, we can put some design, but we need to make sure that the design is relevant to our audience. Similarly, when we develop our instructional materials also, that's why I ask about the group characteristics, such that this will be our benchmark in how we design, we lay out, we format our instructional materials. And it's not difficult now to lay out because we have a lot of tools available online. I don't know if you're familiar with Canva. Canva is a very useful tool in layouting materials. No? Okay. Thank you very much, Ma'am Justin. No? Okay. Sir, do we have one more or no more?
All
No
right.
more. Wala na,
Maybe
no?
there are some who would like to share their output. Participants, I guess there are no more participants, sir, who would like to share their output. I'll now be giving back to you, sir, the virtual floor for
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Okay. We continue with we continue with our session. That's a very good activity to identify the needs, the challenges, and the obstacles our learners have. Because more, as I've mentioned this many times, most importantly, it's the learners that is the center of our learning process. So if we do not consider their needs, their prior knowledge, their characteristics into the design of our IM, I did not know that we have the participants from DepEd. That is why I only included here difficulties of adult learners. But I believe for those teaching in senior high school and high school, probably they can also relate. Because when we design our IM, especially for college students, there are difficulties because our college students learn differently from elementary and high school students. But in USTP, many of our students are actually part-time in call center. Tuition is free, there are still other expenses related to their education. So
their education. That's our students are college, and most of them are part-time employees, and we need to consider also their need to have more specific, more focused activities. That's why I told her probably you lessen the amount of activities, and only I'll tell you now what's nice to know, what students need to know is our adults, they often have self-doubt. When yung subject science, they hear the subject geometry or similar courses, automatically least confident, and we need to address this. Tries to address the difficulty of self-doubt. Okay, next is neuroplasticity. uh, Adults have difficulty unlearning. This is a very predominant problem we have in the society. It's very difficult to teach adults because it's often a challenge for learners to for adult learners to being what they call this, to be hooked in a lesson, because they have already pre-existing knowledge, and we need to identify this and we need to address this. Because if we do not know their pre-existing knowledge, and if those knowledge are misconceptions, it's very difficult to unlearn. It's very difficult to unlearn. Common yan sa college. They learn concepts, they what they call this, they have gathered many misconceptions when they were still in high school and they were in elementary, and it's very difficult to unlearn those. That's why we need to identify it ahead of time, especially for those experienced teachers here in the Zoom call. I challenge you, because you are the most experienced, you know most which topics students have many misconceptions. And when you share this to younger teachers in the Zoom, you can give them an idea how to design the IM addressing those misconceptions. Next is I think all of those who shared mentioned this, financial barriers, no. Our adult learners, especially college students, they have other priorities. They're expected to help their families. So if there's a way that we can reduce for example, if your IM is what they call this, a paper, a traditional IM. It's made out of paper, photocopying or it's a ring bound IM. We need to make sure that it's not too long. No, if we can synthesize many information into to shorter version, then it's better, because again, this financial barrier uh, poses a challenge to our learners. For example, I'll give you an example. Many textbooks in college are sold around 350, 400, and this is already equivalent to 1 day's work. And our students are part-timers. Therefore, the 350 is about 2 or 3 days equivalent of salary, and you expect them to pay that much of an IM. They won't. That's why what they do, they will just photocopy the activity sheets, di ba? The ones that students steer from their manuals or from their work text. Walang na ilang i-purchase.
the whole of the purpose of the IM, I mean, mawala na ang sense. Oh, sa imong IM because they only photocopy the activity sheets, and there are instructions. There are important activities given in the first few pages of the chapter. Like for example, we mentioned earlier about comic strips and so on. Those are the most important parts, diba? And what students do, they just photocopy the activity sheets. They lose the opportunity to experience the other parts of the IM. Okay? Why? Because our IMs are very expensive. Okay. Contradiction. I don't know if this problem is present in our students also have, as I mentioned earlier, that they have difficulty to unlearn. Another problem our learners have is they have pre-existing beliefs, pre-existing culture that sometimes contradicts to what we teach in the class. And students are not vocal about this. Like unlike elementary, adult learners are not vocal about this, except unlike elementary students. When you say something bad in to elementary students, they automatically call you out. They saying as, sir, I think that's wrong, and so on. But for adult learners, they don't. Oh, and that becomes a challenge in learning. So we need to identify also, as part of our needs analysis, their set of culture, set of beliefs, because this will help us design a more contextualized and a more appropriate IM. And finally, our adult learners, they lack support. Oh. Not only from their family, but also from faculty members. Once the classes end, once your period ends, students no longer interact with you. And unlike now, Lugar, no, we have Messenger and so on. But before, students have they have difficulty in accessing mentors, accessing supports, accessing the MKOs, the more knowledgeable others. So how do we design our IMs in a way that embedded already it is embedded already in the IM different kinds of support. How do we do this? So for example, your lesson is on calculus, and you have already presented the topic, you have already done example, you have a seat work, then answered seat works. Now remember, when we provide seat works, you also provide answers so that students get to have a sense of accomplishment if they got the answers right. So how do we do this, the support mechanism in our IMs? Make sure you provide additional sources of information. Do not limit your students with the ones present in your textbook. So for example, as I've said earlier, problems that have been answered as part of the seat work, then probably you have a section there for more additional materials. What could be these additional support materials? Probably video tutorials, tips in solving the problems quickly, mga ingana. That would really help students because they no longer have the means to ask for support. Teachers are being support other than the ones we provide. That's why okay, what are our techniques? So I mentioned difficulties. So I'll give you some techniques so that first is we set goal.
this is what they'll get, then they are interested and motivated to learn. Okay, is their why.
Recording in progress.
Lectures because you have a goal that adult in writing and I am. Tama. I don't know if okay. Another also, we said earlier that adult learners lack time. Our learning regularly. So probably if there are complex skills, a quick review before we begin. And this would allow learners to review important remember jokes. Ask you that. So most often after they finish a certain course, they forget. But they forget what they've learned after the course. Do not assume. I remember I saw a Facebook post, no? Uh, if it's possible to embed the learning activities with their day-to-day life, then that would be better. No? So for example, you're teaching business, math.
Recording in progress.
And if it's relevant to them, okay, learn this. Oo. Kaya Simon Good, I don't know if you're guilty of this. Also guilty of this one, writing books. No? Learners, especially adult learners, are interested of why are we supposed to learn this? Okay, where can we apply this? Okay, sige. Yeah, these are the adult learning
techniques, and that ends the second session on context and learners need. Maybe we can have a quick break, sir, or question and answer first before we go on a quick break. Okay, si sir nag-quick break na. Okay, wala pa dahil. Ay, okay. Sir, you're on mute, sir.
Hello, can you hear me
Oh,
now?
yes, yes. Okay.
For expounding the topics on the learner and context analysis. And I do hope that everyone is really learning a lot from this session. Okay. So what are we going to do next, sir? Are we going to have a break first and then we proceed to the next topic?
Probably we'll entertain questions first before we go on let's say 10-minute break. Sige,
All right.
let's entertain questions while the topic is still fresh and hot.
Okay, we are now requesting our participants. If you have some questions to ask to Sir Mark, you can now ask that one, or you can just chat down here in our chat box so we can read that one. Questions po from the participants. Because if you could not ask questions, Sir Mark will be asking you questions.
Mag-quiz di ay, sir. Okay, ayaw, sir. Sige.
There is a comment here from one of the participants. He did not, or she did not put her name here. Ingon siya diri, sir, dili jud ay boring lecture, sir. I'm learning a lot actually.
Thank you po. Thank you.
Okay, questions po from the participants from MSU Naawan community, from the Department of Education institutions. You can just raise your hand and Sir Mark will answer that questions right away. Someone is typing already her comment, or maybe this is a question. I'll just have to wait maybe a minute or just a couple of seconds.
Dili madunggan ang background, sir? Nanay unsa ba ni sila? Or sa madunggan gyud?
Lima lang siya, sir.
Okay. Effective din yung noise cancellation nga headset. Okay. Saba kayo good. Thank God. Okay, wala good question. Duha lang gina ka scenario, so it's either they understand it fully or they did not understand anything. Okay. Sige, let's have 10-minute break. Then probably for those who have questions, you can still send in and we'll answer them before we begin the next session. Sige, thank you.
Very much, sir. Oh,
Sure. I'd like to remind also the participants for this session and the following sessions, they will be needing their course syllabus for the course they plan to make
yes, sir.
an IM. If it's possible, they have the course syllabus
Yeah.
with them. I forgot to
Okay,
mention
sir.
earlier. Yeah.
Maybe it's for those who are not around this time, we will just send them an email informing them that they would prepare their
Including these sessions, sir. Yeah.
yes, sir. That's noted, sir. Again, requesting participants from other state universities and colleges, including the teachers from the Department of Education. If you have it with you, your course guide or course syllabus, you can by the way use that one for this afternoon's session workshop. And also that will be used for tomorrow's session. All right, sir. The way.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you again. No. We now proceed to the third session of our training. No. And this time we are now going to the meat of what should we write in our instructional material. In the first and second session, we have uh, reflected on the philosophy, our teaching philosophy as a guide, as a main framework of our IM. And we in the second session earlier, we also analyzed our learners because we believe that the learners should be at the center of any learning activity. This time, we will now go to the heart of the IM development, which is to develop an outline of our IM and identify what should be taught and how should we assess our learners. And this specific lecture or this specific session is very important for college teachers because we use OBE as our framework for our curriculum in tertiary education in the Philippines, the outcomes based education. Although this would also be essential to teachers teaching in the high school because if I'm not mistaken, our K to 12 curriculum is still using the UBD. I don't know if you're familiar with UBD. Although it's not mentioned in any curriculum guide, but if you look at the curriculum guide of DepEd, especially from in the K to 12, you would easily spot that it's UBD. It's understanding by nurse I mean the senior the format of the K to 12 curriculum guide starts with content standard and performance standard. Those are actually what we expect our students to demonstrate at the end of the course. And that's understanding by design. Or sometimes they call it as backwards design. OBE is something like that too. We need to identify first what we want our students to demonstrate before we decide what to teach. Okay? And that's what we will cover for this afternoon's last session for this afternoon. Okay. Although I gave already an information of an OBE curriculum, it's good to mention all these definitions. No? An OBE curriculum means starting with a clear picture of what is important for students to be able to do. Then we reorganize the curriculum, instruction, and assessment to make sure this learning ultimately happens. Spady is the author and the founder, not the founder. Yeah, he's the author of OBE. I have actually his book here. Here, it's Beyond's Outcomes Based Education. He's actually the author of this book. No, wait, let me return it. Uh, and he's the famous for advocating outcomes based education, and our commission on higher education, CHED, mandated all HEIs to adopt OBE. Why is it that OBE is selling like hotcakes or pancakes in the Philippines? Simply because it's a strategy to make sure that our learners learn what they are supposed to learn. What do you mean by that, sir? Learning what they're supposed to learn. Meaning now, in the tertiary education or even in high school, we're not supposed to teach our students things that will not be useful when they will become well when they will a farmer. So what are the skills they need to learn to become those professions I mentioned? And only those skills that is essential. So nga na ang iyang argument sa OBE set up. And according to Spady, there are 4 basic principles for an OBE curriculum. Number 1, there's clarity of focus. 2, designing down. 3, high expectations. And 4, it's expanded opportunities. I forgot the term. It's expanded opportunities. Okay. We'll mention this. We'll discuss this individually in the next few slides. So what do you mean by clarity of focus? Everything teachers do must be clearly focused on what they want students to know, understand, and be able to do. So when you develop your IM, all of the information, all of the activities present there should be focused on what you want students to develop, what you want students to acquire at the end of the course. No more additional inputs, no more additional designs, flowers, butterflies, and so on. That is not relevant to the learning exercise. Teachers should focus on helping students to develop the knowledge, skills, and personalities, and will enable them to achieve the intended outcomes that have been clearly articulated. We'll define outcomes later in a short while. No? So dapat clear. Ikaw, teacher, what do you want to demonstrate? What should you be able to demonstrate at the end of the course so that able to do at the end of the semester? Will they be able to make sound scientific decisions in their lives? If that is your main goal, what then should our course be? What then should our course content include? Okay? Designing down. According to Spady, curriculum design must start with a clear definition of intended outcomes that students are to achieve by the end of the program. And then we reorganize all instructional activities in such that achievement of this desired end result will be ensured. So now you know already what you want to uh, to accomplish at the end of the semester. Then, haya pa din ka mag-decide topics to teach, what kinds of assessment to give. Okay? It's very different to what we were used to. Because traditional teachers, they begin with topics. Di ba? After topics, they decide activities. After activities, they decide assessment. According to Spady, that's wrong. You begin with the end. You begin with the end. What is the end? Demonstration of skill, demonstration of knowledge. So what do you consider as a demonstration of skill? What do you consider as a demonstration of knowledge? Motong clarity of focus. After you have identified already what you want your students to demonstrate, what then should we teach so that students can demonstrate that? Okay? I don't know if nasabtan po ninyo or ay sa sir nalibog na mi samot. Okay. Sige, sama na tong example. Your subject is methods of research. Let's say your subject is methods of research. Your outcome, what you want your students to demonstrate at the end of the course is they will be able to write a comprehensive proposal. Comprehensive proposal. That's what you want them to demonstrate at the end of the course. So from that expected outcome or intended outcome, what should be the topics we need to include in the syllabus so that we can arrive at that course outcome? Okay, so then you begin ka as a teacher, before they can write a proposal, first they need to be able to identify a sound research problem. That will be your first intended learning outcome. Second, they will be able to write an effective literature review. Third, they will be able to identify appropriate research methodologies. Okay, so you now have 3 subtopics. From the first subtopic, identification of problem statement. So what should I teach my students so that they will be able to identify a problem statement? So probably I'll teach them what is a problem statement, what are the characteristics of a good problem statement, how to evaluate problem statements, and so on. Then after teaching them that, they will be able to demonstrate the first intended learning outcome, which is to be able to identify a research problem. Second, writing an effective literature review. So what should be the topics I will include so that students will be able to write an effective literature review? Probably I'll teach them first where to find references. Second, how to read references. Third, how to cite references, and so on and so on. Okay, that is what we mean by designing down. You begin from the top, what I want my students to demonstrate, then go down before deciding what to teach. Okay? Next is high expectations. According to Spady, a true outcomes-based education must be challenging and it should have high standards of performance so that students will engage deeply in what they are learning. If what you expect from your learners are very simple tasks, then they will no longer be interested in learning. Sir, question. If we have very high standards, would this mean that students would be less motivated to learn because lisod man? Do you agree with that statement? Students will be least motivated because the standard is very high. Can I get a yes or no in the chat box if you can type? Students will be discouraged to learn if the standards is very high. Anyway, I don't know if you can type on that in the chat box, no? Yes or no? Yes, if you agree that when we expect high from our students, they are less motivated. Okay. Okay, I'm not getting any responses. I'm not sure if they can chat or not. Uh, to majority. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so you agree that when the standards are very high, students are less motivated to learn. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Ma'am Anna Babes says no. I think she's the only one who said no. The College of Education. So no. Okay, sir. I don't know, Sir Hylon or Ma'am Hylon said no. Challenging task usually moves our students to do more. Okay, so there's a divide of opinion. No, some are saying yes, some are saying no. According to Spady, it's no. No, students are not demotivated if the standards is high. They are more motivated if the standard is high. But this is with a catch. They only become motivated if you have high standards, only if you provide them with the means to achieve that standard. But if you're not teaching well, you do not provide them the skills necessary to demonstrate what you want to demonstrate, then they will not be learning at all. This is what Spady said, that when we help students to achieve high standards, the learning will become more successful. But if taas ka kag standard as a teacher, but you do not teach, you do not provide examples, you do not give them the necessary skills, then definitely your students will not learn anything. But if you provide them all the necessary skills to be able to achieve the highest standard of performance in your course, then they will be very motivated. Yes, correct, no? Sir Pulet Bohol. Teachers should communicate expectations to students. That is why at the beginning of the course, actually, we're supposed to give our students a copy of the course syllabus. And the intended learning outcomes should be clearly stipulated there. That for every topic, this is what I want you to demonstrate. And if you're not able to do that, then students do not have idea what you want them to do. Sige lang, discuss. Then mingon na dayon imong chairman or imong dean nga, we are doing outcomes-based education. No. According to Spady, no. Oh, you need to tell the students what they need to demonstrate and then help them to achieve. Oh, nakita ninyo that in this kind of curriculum, the learning is very specific. We do not teach non-essential things to our students. What we only teach are the things that they really need. I don't know if you notice that. And this is really a change of a paradigm shift, especially for those many of us, including me, although I'm still young at heart. I'm still young, no? I'm still 29. Oh, many of us would disagree because we were trained in a different kind of education. We were taught that information matters, di ba? Our books, I have a biology textbook here, a chemistry textbook here. They're very thick because what they contain a lot of information. And not all information would be uh, what do you call this, would be needed by the student every day, or if they will graduate and they will become professionals. Not all of the information they need every day. There are some information it's nice to know, meaning they can Google it, they can search it, but it's not really essential. Oo. So yes, actually it's not necessarily that we simplify difficult subject. It's good that we are able to simplify. That means we really master the topic, but it's also good that we just provide the students with the necessary skills. Like, for example, katakungingan ka ganina, if you're expecting as your outcome to that the students write an effective literature review, then you need to provide them with the skills. How do we synthesize? How do we compare, contrast, summarize literature? And if you're not teaching them like that, then how can you expect them to write an effective literature review? If you're expecting them to write an effective literature review, but you're not teaching them where to find references, how to download references, how to cite references, then they will not be able to do that. Okay? So, muning ginaingon ni Spady, dapat klaro, it's clear in the beginning what we really want to do. And lastly, expanded opportunities. What does expanded opportunities mean? The teachers must strive to provide many opportunities for all students. Muna akong gitawag kaganina o enrichment activities. According to Spady, it's not enrichment, but expanded opportunities. I forgot the right term. No? This is based on the idea that not all learners can learn the same thing in the same way in the same time. Muning question ni Dr. Paz earlier that there are students that have high IQ, na uban general lang average, na po uban low EQ. Low IQ, sorry. So when we an OBE, an OBDICE, they call it OBDICE, an OBDICE curriculum daw allows students to learn not at the same time, but they learn the same thing. Sabtan to ninyo. A good OBDICE curriculum daw is where students do not learn at the same time, but they learn the same thing. Okay? Because again, we have learners they are fast learners. They can easily understand, grasp the concepts. So when they are done with the activity, when they're done with the module, they get bored. So they can, if you do not allow them to continue to the next activity, then you're boring them. Oh, there are some students po that are very slow. Your allotted time period has elapsed already and they are not yet done with the module, and you're telling them to then you're telling them to proceed to the next module. Can you understand a movie, a series, if you are missing several sections in a certain episode? No. Diba? You need to complete first the first episode, then the second episode, then the third episode. Dili siya pwede nga mag-skip ka. Okay, it would not help you get the bigger picture or the big picture of the story or the bigger story. So similarly here, according to Spady, although this is difficult for Philippine setting because we are time bounded, di ba? Our semester is defined by the number of hours, not based on the learning of our student. That's why it's very difficult to completely adopt OBE in our education system. Even CHED, no, they keep telling us to do OBE, but how we do our classes every day is not really OBE. Like we set time, for example, for chapter 1, we need to cover this in 2 periods. So for chapter 1, and you're already violating this principle, expanded opportunities, because according to Spady, not all learners learn at the same time. Oo. So probably when you design your instructional materials, how do you address this one? You allow students to what do you call this? To proceed to the next topic even if it's not yet the schedule. Why? Because again, they learn at the same not they learn faster compared to the rest of the class. And that is okay. Kaysa mabore sila. Or another option you can do is provide supplementary activities. If they're not yet done, then you can allow them to do other activities that will earn them extra points. I think in the US, that's what they do. Okay? Okay. Although, most students can achieve high standards if they are given appropriate opportunities. I think I mentioned this earlier. Okay. Okay. Now, what are you saying, sir? Kanabitang students should be able to demonstrate. Unsa na? This is what we call as outcomes. We have two kinds of outcomes. You have curriculum outcomes. Okay. Sabak yung kaya akong background. My apologies. Then you have an intended learning outcomes. And how do they differ? Okay. A learning outcome is what a student can do as a result of a learning experience. It describes a specific task that he or she is able to perform at a given level of competence under a certain situation. So when we say curriculum outcome, this is most often called as course outcome. While the intended learning outcomes, we call this in the old times as our learning objectives. So a course outcome is what you want students to demonstrate at the end of the semester. Only one. Like as I mentioned earlier, methods of research. What is my course outcome there? My course outcome or my curriculum outcome is for the students to be able to write a comprehensive thesis proposal. That's my my course outcome. What are the intended learning outcomes? The intended learning outcomes are the smaller chunks of your course outcome that will help students to perform the course outcome. Palibog na Mr. Daga na kay ka-outcome gingon. Sige, example. Course outcome, write a comprehensive dissertation, a thesis proposal. Intended learning outcomes. Number one, identify a problem state, write a problem statement. Second intended learning outcome, write an effective literature review. Third intended learning outcome, select appropriate research methodology. So notice that the intended learning outcomes are just the components of your course outcome. Because what we wanted to emphasize here is what students should demonstrate at the end of the course should be a collective skills, a collective tasks they do every day in the classroom. Because all that they do in the classroom should lead only to that course outcome, to that one course outcome you want them to demonstrate. Okay. I don't know if you're getting me. Can I get, kung na kay ko with feelings na kay ko mag-istorya. Sige, can I get a yes or no in the chat box if you're uh if you have questions, just please raise your hand, no, and speak. If medyo nalibog na. If you have confusion of the course outcome, intended learning outcomes, and so on. Okay? Are we okay to proceed? Yes or no? Okay. Okay, mga bright students. Thank you. Sige. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Okay. There are three broad types of learning outcomes. There are disciplinary knowledge and skills, there are generic skills, and there are attitudes and values. But generally, for universities like MSU Naawan, we are more interested with disciplinary knowledge and skills. What do you mean by disciplinary knowledge and skills? These are knowledge and skills specific to that certain discipline. Like for example, the discipline is ecology or biology. So what are the specific knowledge and skills you want your students to demonstrate? The generic skills like writing, reading, we're not so much interested in that because we believe that it's already assumed, and attitudes and values also are already assumed. But for DepEd, they're interested with this, no? Interested kayo si DepEd ng mga attitudes and values. But for HEIs like MSU Naawan and Karsu Buksu, we are more interested in specific disciplinary knowledge and skills. Okay. So how do we write an effective intended learning outcome statement? So it's like an objective. And outcomes are about performance because you want your students to demonstrate. So there is a performance. And if there is a performance, it implies that there must be a performer. It's a performance. So there's supposed to be a performer. And the performer is the student and not the teacher. Okay? Why? Because when I was still the chair of our department, when I was checking syllabus, I noticed the teacher will be able to discuss the three laws of motion. O, di ba? Who's the performer there? It's the teacher, not the students. Di ba? What we want again in an OB-DICE curriculum is that students demonstrate. So there must be a performer. Next, there must be something performable and thus demonstrable or accessible. So if there's a performance, they need to do something. And what they do is something they can demonstrate. And if it's something they can demonstrate, it's something you can assess, you can measure. And lastly, the focus is on the performance and not the activity or task to be performed. So at the end of the day, you are not interested on how many times the student practiced, how many times the student committed mistakes during in the practice, how many times the students required assistance. What you during the practice, no, what you are interested is the performance. Like in a play or in a concert, you're not interested how they vocalized every day, how they prepare their outfit, how they practice their performance. You're not interested in that. As an audience in a performance, like in a concert, you're only interested in the concert and how they perform during the concert. The same with our uh, what do you call this? The same with our ILOs. So meaning, when we design our ILOs, it should be focused on the performance and not the process. Okay? It should be focused on the performance and not the process. Okay. I hope that's clear. Sige. How do we know or how do we select appropriate action verbs? I think you're very familiar with this. We use Bloom's taxonomy. First, there's knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. No? And I think this was revised already. This is the revised Bloom's taxonomy. It's remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and create. So notice that the verbs here that is shown in the screen, they are actually performance based, like design, assemble, appraise, argue, differentiate, organize, execute, and implement, classify, describe, define, duplicate. So these are performance laden words. So meaning when you use this as your verb in your intended learning outcome, it's clear that there is a performance that you want your students to perform.
Tama,
Recording in
there are
progress.
team teaching, like for example, 2 or 3 teachers are teaching the same course. So I believe it's good. It's mentioned here in this ILO checklist. It's just a simple yes or no. What I want you to write are those. Okay, ILOs 1, ILO 2, ILO 3, ILO 4. Generally, you have only one ILO per topic or per chapter or per certain. Does this do the ILO include active verbs? Yes or no? Do the meaning from the ILO itself, you already know what the competency rather ang mga ILO, when I'm checking ILOs, we'll be able to finish discussing, katulad yung we'll be able to discuss 3 laws of motion. Objectives. That's what those appropriate for the course. Is it consistent with the curriculum document of record? Does it represent a fundamental result of the course? Does it align with other courses in a sequence? Does it represent collegiate level of work? Baka inyong ILOs is too simple or too difficult that it's not on the level of college students. And finally, will students understand the ILOs? Okay? Sige, I'll give you probably 20 minutes to do this. Is it, I'm not sure if you're in the university. If you're in the university, you can work with your colleagues in the department, no? Especially if you're teaching the same subject. Okay? I think will 20 minutes be enough?
All right, sir. Maybe that's already good time allotment for
Okay,
this
sige.
workshop.
Sure, sige. Okay, if you have questions, just type it in the chat box and I'll just be here reading. And if you have questions in the lecture, you can type it in the Q&A or you can raise your hand. I'll give you some time to do the workshop. You can take a screen cap of the screen or yeah. Sige.